Chapter 40. Rage enveloped Tesco the moment he saw the errant knight stab Sevrin. Sevrin, who had rescued Tesco, even though he had no knowledge the dragon wouldn't have killed him afterward. Sevrin, who denied everything he ever dreamed of for the good of his beloved. Sevrin, who showed Tesco how kind humans could be. To see his gentle friend hurt in such a way made Tesco's blood boil, literally. Heat seeped through his scales, fire curdled at the back of his throat, ready to be expelled. A growl rolled from him unbidden. Galloway would have died in that moment, if not for the net. Though Tesco heaved his strength against it, it held him fast, tangled him in its steely grip. The more he moved, the more it ensnared him. If only it would give, if only he could break one thread, if only he had an opening. Tesco felt a blade graze against the scales near his belly. A few of the threads went slack. With a roar with blue flame that echoed off the mountains in the distance, Tesco heaved himself onto his feet, the net snapping around him. Now then, beast, let's not get too hasty. Galloway held the scale up. You must do my bidding. Tesco roared in his face. Don't you hear me? Galloway thrust the scale in the air. Stop! Heed your master! Tesco snapped at him. Galloway rolled out of the way and got to his feet. Why won't this work? The loathful knight's grin of triumph dissolved into a sneer of determination. He threw the scale on the ground. The grave it is then, eh, beast? Fine. You'll be more useful to me dead. Snatching his shield from his horse, he charged forward. Without hesitation, he blasted the knight with all the fire he could muster. A testament to his excellent reflexes, Galloway threw up his shield and cowered behind it as the blue flame erupted from Tesco's mouth. Tesco kept up the flames in a steady stream, expelling as much of the chemicals from his fire gland as he could. The liquid ignited as soon as it hit the air. Second after second, minute after minute, and still Tesco spewed fire from his maw. But the knight kept his shield up, a shield possibly coated in fire-retardant material. Tesco saw through the flames, though, and that shield started to grow red, then yellow. It glowed brighter and brighter until Galloway gave a yell of excruciating pain. Still, he did not lower the shield. There was only so much of the chemical stored in Tesco's fire gland. The fire from his mouth slowed and trickled to a halt. Tesco stepped back and examined where the knight had been. He saw him duck behind the shield glowing golden with heat. As soon as the fire stopped, Galloway flung the shield away from him. His metal gauntlet glowed all the way up to his elbow. Galloway flung it off. His entire arm had been burned to the elbow, pink flesh oozing a clear liquid. You shall pay for that, worm! Galloway, despite any pain he might be feeling, rushed at Tesco with his sword in his undamaged hand. Tesco chomped down on the knight's hand, sword and all. Galloway's eyes widened, a thread of terror streaking through his dogged determination. Tesco tried to bite down. He chomped as hard as he could, but the knight's armor preventing him from cutting through. Instead, the metal gave under his teeth, pinching Galloway's arm. Galloway growled in pain. With a twist, he jabbed the sword into the roof of Tesco's mouth. Flinching with pain, Tesco opened his maw. Galloway caught the edge of Tesco's snout, climbed to his face, and plunged the sword into Tesco's nostril. Roaring with pain, Tesco flung the knight off, but Galloway caught the side of his cheek, scrambled to Tesco's head, and thrust the sword onto the base of Tesco's neck. His scales turned back the blade, but Galloway twisted its tip so it caught between two of the scales. He shimmied the sword this way and that, worming it closer to Tesco's vulnerable flesh underneath. With a snarl, Tesco snatched Galloway off of him, tossing him to the ground. The knight jumped up and charged again. Tesco caught him between the teeth and chomped on his waist. Again the armor protected the human, though again the metal bent beneath Tesco's teeth. Rather than chew on him, Tesco shook Galloway like a dog with a toy and tossed him aside. Galloway slammed to the ground and rolled on the grass where he came to a halt. Groaning, he pulled himself to his feet. His squire was at his side once, wineskin at the ready. He dumped the entire thing on Galloway's sword. You will meet your end this day, dragon. Galloway brandished his sword, dripping with poison. I know of your weakness. He rushed at Tesco's hindquarters and leapt into the air, blade first, intending to use the weight of his fall to plunge the sword into Tesco's wounded leg. With a swing of his tail, Tesco slapped the knight out of the air. The knight slammed into the hillside. Again Galloway made to get up, but Tesco pounded him with his tail, over and over, harder and harder. Every time Galloway tried to stand, Tesco slammed him down, until finally Galloway collapsed on the ground and lay still. With a snort, Tesco nodded. That should teach the knight. Swinging around, he scrambled over to Sevrin. The little human lay on the grass, unmoving. Sevrin! Sevrin! Tesco stooped to examine him. Sevrin was breathing, shallow, labored breath which rattled his body. His face and clothes were soaked in sweat, but his eyes remained closed. Sevrin, wake up! Tesco shook him. Please! A flutter of his eyelid. Sevrin groaned but did not wake. Tesco started. Sevrin had been poisoned with a blade meant for him. Oh, no, no, no. Tesco paced back and forth. What to do? What can I do? I don't know anyone who can cure a human of poison. Okay, stop. Calm down, Tesco. Deep breath. He paused to take a breath. Now think. Someone in the city must know a way to cure him. They have to. He scooped Sevrin up in his claws and cradled him as gently as he could. Don't worry, Sevrin. I will get you help. He took to the air and beat his wings as quickly as he could toward the city, leaving the tattered body of Sir Galloway behind. Sir Galloway and his squire.